My name is Colin Schoonover. We're delivering this poem from the interior and backdrop of the new hay barn, which may have some significance. The name of this poem is Bad Habits, and unfortunately, what you're going to hear is based on a lot of true events, and hopefully it'll all come to light at the end of this and make sense. So, bad habits. There's an endless world of advice and self-help from self-made know-it-alls. There's books, radio, podcasts, websites, memes, and even a YouTube I saw. One has to sort the good from the bad as it floods the brain and chokes the craw. And despite all of the warning signs and half-dollar advice, many make a choice that can still lead to a fall. Well, not being one to break from the crowd, I would take up habits from the time I was yay high. Despite my dear mother's advice and direction, my teacher's half-cocked eye, habits seem to just stick to me like sugar water attracts the flies. I'd say, no, I won't try it. Well, let me look at it close. Heck, what's the harm in giving it an eye? And I'd like to think the list was short and fairly brief, but not true enough. It's not, and I fear we could be here recording habits for a week. Some were annoying and not really harmful, but others, OMG, they aren't for the meek. Over time, you abandon some, you avoid a few, you sell tickets to others and decide which are okay to keep. And I'll tell you about one. I'll tell you about the cowboy belts, when a long tail was a thing. I swear, one could have whipped himself trying to twirl and swing. I dropped that fashion habit once my gal had had enough and she refused to fling. But I picked up on the next best nothing as best that I can think. A pinch between the cheek and the gun that sorts the boys from the men. It's a male herd cull. Ah, the satisfying taste of nicotine and spitting. Now, this is some fun. I enjoyed it for years, along with the drool on my shirt, brown grin, and cankers on my tongue. So I moved from that to chasing girls who loved the makeup trends. They were some pretty young ladies, and let me catch them now and again. Now this is a habit I can learn to love, and love it I did, as it showed on my grin, but too many on my arm outran my charm, and it brought it all to a heartbreaking end. So that's a small sampling of a long list of habits, just to whet your appetite. Some inflicted their due, while others were a ruse toward me seeing the light. But I suppose there's one habit I haven't mastered, and that's beyond my reach, but it's still in sight. And that's the habit of listening to others, and avoiding mistakes, and just taking their advice. A final example to set the nail as I wrap up this yarn paints a picture of her telling me, don't weld that gate, and other bits of snark. It'll be fine, says I, as my welding rod arced and created that spark. There, see, I'm all done, no worries. As I swaggered away, and behind me the hay raged in flame as it burned down the barn.